I'm sure you know a few things about presidents like George Washington and Abraham Lincoln, but Martin Van Buren, the eighth president? Not so much. Often overshadowed by his more popular predecessors, Van Buren played a key role in the founding and creation of American politics. This video will teach you more about Martin Van Buren than just those mutton chops that everybody loves. Van Buren, being one of the most unstudied presidents, has left his two major successes and two major failures rather unknown to the American public today. Before we go further, if you've been enjoying my U.S. history content recently, please consider subscribing to the channel for more content about our presidents every Friday night. And if you've already done so, thank you for doing that, and now let's jump into it. Martin Van Buren played a large role in the founding of the Democratic Party, transforming American politics during the early 1800s. Van Buren recognized the collapsing nature of the political systems, and he hoped to create a tight-knit and inclusive organization rooted in broad-based popular support. Van Buren was vulnerable in an attempt to unite the nation behind Andrew Jackson, a skilled political strategist. He emphasized the need for a well-working party structure with clear ideas and organized grassroots effort. We made a whole video about Jackson last week, and thank you to those who watched it. Van Buren's efforts were crucial in solidifying the Democratic Party as a champion of states' rights and limited federal government, appealing to working-class voters. By offering loyalty through the patronage and emphasizing the need for unity in the party, he laid the groundwork for modern political campaigning. The Democratic Party under Van Buren also improved by hosting national conventions to nominate candidates for president and vice president, which is still used today. His leadership helped Andrew Jackson secure the presidency in 1828 and his re-election in 1832, marking the beginning of the Jacksonian era and the Democratic Party. Van Buren's vision ensured the party's long-term endurance, aligning its politics with the emerging democratic spirit of the age. Ultimately, Van Buren's contribution shaped not only the Democratic Party, but also the trajectory of American democracy itself. During Van Buren's 4 years in office, he played a key role in the removal of the Native American tribes from their homelands in the South, a tragic event known as the Trail of Tears. This removal was based on the Indian Removal Act signed by Andrew Jackson, but Van Buren enforced it. Van Buren ordered the U.S. government to carry out the merciless relocation of the Cherokee people and other tribes to lands west of the Mississippi River. The journey was long and difficult, with many people suffering from hunger, disease, and harsh weather. Thousands of Native Americans died along the way. Van Buren's decision to enforce the removal of the indigenous tribes showed how the government prioritized land for settlers over the rights of indigenous. Today, Van Buren's role in this event is remembered as a sad and controversial part of his presidency. The Trail of Tears remains a symbol of the hardships faced by indigenous peoples in U.S. history. To his misfortune, Martin Van Buren became president just as the country was going through a serious economic crisis known as the Panic of 1837. This panic happened because of the numerous problems with money, banks, and business. Many people had borrowed too much money, so when citizens could not pay back the loans, people and banks lost their savings. Van Buren became president just as this was happening, and many blamed him for the crisis, even though it started before he took office. He tried to fix things by supporting a new law that would limit how much money the government could spend, called the Independent Treasury. This law was meant to stop the government from using state banks and prevent the country from losing more money. Van Buren's decision not to give money to the failing banks upset a lot of Americans, especially those who lost most of their money. While some thought his plan would help in the long run, many Americans struggled during his presidency. The Panic of 1837 was a major event that shaped the Van Buren legacy and that affected millions of Americans at that time and the opinions of many Americans of him later. During the late 1830s, tensions escalated between the United States and British-controlled Canada over the undefined border between Maine and New Brunswick, culminating to the Aroostook War, a conflict characterized by aggressive posturing rather than actual combat. In 1839, Van Buren aimed to prevent a full-scale war, dispatched General Winfield Scott to the disputed region. Scott successfully negotiated a truce between Maine's Governor John Fairfield and New Brunswick's Governor John Harvey, leading to the withdrawals of militants and establishment of joint patrols to maintain order. This diplomatic intervention de-escalated the immediate crisis and laid the groundwork for the Webster-Ashburton Treaty of 1842, which definitively settled the border dispute. The dispute was settled by great teamwork from both sides and a willingness to negotiate as opposed to heading to full-force war. Van Buren's leadership was a key piece to that endeavor. Van Buren's measured response not only averted potential bloodshed, but also reinforced the importance of diplomacy in resolving international conflicts. The resolution of the Aroostook War secured Maine's northern territories, contributing to its economic development and solidifying peaceful relations between the United States and Canada. The two struggles of Van Buren's presidency overshadow his two major successes, which make him one of the least studied presidents in American history. Unfortunately, those beautiful mutton chops are the extent of many people's knowledge of Van Buren, but not you. By watching this video, you have at least double the amount of knowledge of many Americans of Van Buren. He lost the election of 1840 to William Henry Harrison, likely because voters knew the impact of his mistakes, not his accomplishments. When discussing characters full of unknown and drama, it doesn't get much better than his predecessor, Andrew Jackson. We made a whole video about the Old Hickory, and it's linked here for your enjoyment. Thank you for watching. Have a good weekend.